Well, Lionhearts, this is not the best way to start the 200th vlog. At 10:30 last night, I hopped on a bus and went to San Francisco. And we're in San Jose on a stopover, and the bus broke down. So it's looking like it's going to be a 2-hour wait for the replacement bus to come from Oakland, and then for me to get to San Francisco. So I'm going to be like 2 or 3 hours off schedule. That is all fog. Alright, an hour and a half late, but I am here. Welcome to San Francisco, guys. Well, the only downside to our trip today will be that there is no Jaw. Jaw is staying with Kevin. Check that out. First thing we're going to do today, now that we've seen a bridge, I believe this is the Bay Bridge. We're gonna hop on the BART, the train. We're gonna go to AT&T Park, where the San Francisco Giants play. And here we are. AT&T Park. Let's go take a look. The great Gaylord Perry. Orlando Cepeda. You know, I've actually been to a game here. I've been here once before. Came and saw a Dodgers-Giants game. So Lionhearts, what you can expect in the next 2 days worth of vlogs, vlog 200 and 201, is everything that I like. You're gonna have sports, music, silent movie, 80s, 90s, 70s. It's all here. It's gonna be a great trip. Now, because I have so much stuff to do, I'm not going to be telling stories and all that stuff. I'm just going to be showing you the sights like a tourist, guys. If it were open, I would definitely like to check out that Cooperstown, San Francisco exhibit, but it's closed. Too early. Johnny Cueto, former Red. Now, before I take off from here, I do want to walk all the way around the building because I want to show you guys the back. Coca-Cola is one of the main sponsors of this stadium, and they have a gigantic display in center field. Let's go see it. I can't believe Jason Schmidt has one. He was okay. I mean, he was good, but he wasn't like Hall of Fame caliber. Wow. Kind of surprised by both of these. Now, like that said, they first started in 1958 in San Francisco, playing the Dodgers at Seal Stadium. Then eventually you'd know them from Candlestick Park, the year that they were in the World Series, and the gigantic earthquake happened. And now they're here in AT&T Park. Stretch McCovey. There we go. That's what we wanted to see. The holy grail of it all. The Willie Mays Gate. Wow. What a tribute to history. Look at that. A shrine to Willie. To say, hey kid. All those golden gloves. And he's still a very active member of the San Francisco Giants family. You still see him at games. You still see him at anything that has to do with sometimes even drafts, or at least he used to. He goes to spring training. I mean, he's there. He's around. Now let's take a trip through the tree maze to see the Willie statue. And I'm happy to see that they have my one of my all-time favorite Reds, Johnny Cueto, is displayed up here, right above him. Of course, it's just to sell tickets, but Willie Howard Mays Jr. Look at all that history. Wow. Look at all that. That is awesome. Way to keep it classy. The unfortunate plights of a vlogger is having to manipulate sunlight into every shot you want. And there he is, the Dominican dandy, Juan Marichal, who once during a Dodgers-Giants game didn't like a pitch that came inside, so he turned around and smashed the catcher on the head with his bat. Could have killed him. But believe it or not, they ended up becoming friends. I think it was Johnny Rosenberg, or I forget, what is that? That was the catcher of the Dodgers. He smashed him over the head with his bat, and like I said, yeah, years later they made up and they would actually become lifelong friends. Here they've allowed fans to purchase a brick with their name on it that leads right around the entire park. And this is what's on the other side of the park. All those games when Barry Bonds was hitting home runs and you saw people out there in kayaks and stuff waiting for that ball to come flying over, that's where it was. As I was walking by and noticed this, I had to stop. They actually have it so you can see into the field. They're redoing the grass and the grounds. Of course, nobody's here playing because they're all at spring training in Arizona right now. And here you can see the scoreboard and everything for the opposing teams when they do out-of-town games and the scores and stuff. And you can see up above it where they have some on the wall. How cool is that? And they are sure proud of their history. All up and down this outward walk, these little plaques are everywhere, memorializing every major accomplishment by a Giant. Many of them, Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds and Willie Mays, of course. 715th home run. The one that pushed him past Babe Ruth. I watched that All-Star game. Ichiro hit a in-the-park home run. See? I told you, most of them are probably going to be Barry Bonds. I know my baseball. Now, Barry Bonds is an extremely controversial and polarizing character in baseball. And mainly, I mean, they're starting to let in all the guys who were accused of steroids, but the real reason he's not getting in is because he was a jerk. And he was one of my favorite players for a long time when I was growing up, but it's just been commonly reported that he was a jerk to all the writers, and the writers are the ones who get to nominate in the players who go into the Hall of Fame. So I think they're just punishing him. This is where the Coke bottle sign is back here. And a little bit of nature never hurt anybody. We got a seal statue and some pigeons and a fishing pier. Pretty cool grounds. I would love for my grandpa and I to go to a game out here. He's the entire reason I love baseball. There's the Coke. There's the giant Coke bottle. Let's get over there. I had to take the long way around because they have it all gated up that whole way around. But there's a, you can see there's a baseball glove and a Coke bottle. Originally, this was going to be the very last stop on my entire trip. But I got to thinking, what better way to see the sun come up than at this park? And unfortunately, I wasn't in San Francisco when the sun came up, but I still want to come here first. And there it is. During games, that Coke bottle's lit up. Wow, what a sight it is to see. See, they even have the gates open. They're doing all the grounds maintenance. I wish I could just walk in there and look. There it is. Now let's get out of here. Next stop, Haight-Ashbury. That is a big heart-shaped olive. I'm gonna get some coffee before we go. They're all baseball themed. That's hilarious. Some of them have bats. Some of them have baseball gloves. Got my coffee, and I'm heading off to Haight-Ashbury. Check out that decoration. Cool. If you're wondering why or how I chose San Francisco for my trip, bus ticket was $1 to get here. Return trip, $34. And since the bus broke down, they're going to refund me my $1. They're going to refund me my first trip. But I just figured I could do so much stuff here, and more than any place else, so let's do it. Now guys, I am no expert on San Francisco. I have only been here literally one time in my life for about a day and a half with my friend Carrie to see a concert. I just walked past this. I thought it was worth stopping for. This is where once the birthplace of Jack London was. Call of the Wild. Of course, the fire of 1906. Most of the history that we're going to run across today has something to do with the earthquake of 1906. Now there's no way I'm going to be able to hit everything that I wish I could in one day. But I'm sure going to give it a whirl. I was smart enough to pick in advance about 30 places that I wanted to go, and I mapped it all out, and I took about 5 of those off so that this would be more doable. So I hope you guys enjoy this day. It'll actually be 2 vlogs, of course, but it'll all be one day for me. You can tell we're in the world of cable cars. Used an old couch to make a statement. None of us are going to make it out of here. Well, I made it over here to Golden Gate Park in Haight-Ashbury. And this is the first stop that I wanted to make. This house right here has been here since 1904. And it's one of the few houses that actually survived the 1906 disaster. But where it really comes into play into the people that watch my vlog and why I'm here is this was the Jefferson Airplane House. From what I understand, they bought this house in 1968. They may have actually lived in here before they bought it, because the way that I found out they lived here, 2400 Fulton, is they released an album in 1987 called 2400 Fulton. And it was all songs that they wrote while they lived here. And they had stuff from Surrealistic Pillow, stuff from Volunteers. But they bought this house in 1968, and they let their entire circus of weirdos and friends and bands come and move in anytime they wanted. It was 3 floors. Grace Slick and Paul Cantor presided over this circus, and they actually, as soon as they moved in, they painted it black, installed a recording studio in it, and would just let anybody live in it that there was room for. And I love this, it's now been repainted. And they actually owned this from 1968 or even possibly 67, all the way until the mid-80s when they finally sold it. And that's when they, I think they divulged where it was, because they called that album 2500 Fulton. But what was kind of cool about this is that when the Blues Brothers did one of their few and only tours, they stayed here with the band. So how cool is that? Jefferson Airplane House. Oh, that is a big house. Now let's go to Golden Gate Park. Oh, somebody in this apartment is a fan of my favorite street artist, Space Invader. And in case you guys didn't know, that's where Jaw got his middle name. His name is Jaw Space Invader. And we're gonna take this little path all the way under the bridge into Golden Gate Park, where the Human Bee Inn was, where the Love-Ins were. Cave in here. Well, I mean, it literally pretty much is a cave. Now this park is massive. I'm not exactly sure which particular section of the park it was all taking place at, but let's pretend it was here. And the Human Bee Inn was like, that was like the pinnacle, the start of the Summer of Love, 1967. It was when Timothy Leary did the tune in, turn on, drop out. And you know what's crazy about this? The human being, the two guys who wrote the musical Hair were actually here to kind of submerge themselves in the lifestyle and live it as close as possible so that they could write Hair. And they said it was just, we just felt it was something that had to be done. Otherwise, only pictures and interviews would survive. We wanted to create something that would capture the essence of the time. And so you would have seen 30,000 people in Golden Gate Park for that love-in, that human being, where everybody was experimenting with free love, drugs, mind expansion, in the hopes that it would lead people to create their own utopias, to share and to all be one. And in the end, that's not exactly what ended up happening. There's the original amoeba. But I can go there in LA. I think it's safe to say this place has been here since the beginning. Nothing's really open yet over here. Look at all the influences over there. Kind of funny they would have David Bowie because he refused to play San Francisco for most of his career. This is what Haight Street looks like these days. And like I said, nothing's really open yet. This is where it all happened in the 60s, baby. 67 to 69, this was it. There we go. They're proud of Jerry over here. Guys, in about 3 minutes, I'm going to be at the Grateful Dead house. How amazing is that? Look at the old architecture of these old Victorian houses. You know what's cool is that basically what happened was a lot of the houses that you'll see in San Francisco are painted like gray. And it's because of World War I, they were trying to support the war effort, and they were basically making everything look military. Painting all the buildings gray and putting like tarp and different stuff around it. I don't know if they thought maybe there was going to be an invasion over here or what, but in the 60s, that's when all the people that lived down here decided they were going to start livening them up, the houses, repainting them, changing the colors. You can tell this has really kind of become a big tourist attraction, even though there's nobody really out here yet. I wasn't going to buy much anyway. But you can tell it's mostly all just stores. Little mushrooms. Well guys, here it is, Haight-Ashbury, the corner where so much of history started, took place, and all those memorable Grateful Dead photos that I'm going to post right here were taken. You know what's interesting is that when Zack Comics was started, that would make R. Crumb famous by publishing his work, they would sell it here on this corner out of a baby stroller. And R. Crumb said this was the corner where he kind of came up with a lot of the ideas for what he would end up doing for art, because he said he saw the ugliness on these streets. He said all I saw was a bunch of older guys with nothing going on, nothing to do, waiting for women to bring them food. And he said he thought that that whole movement was just an excuse to take advantage of the youth, and that people like Timothy Leary were just absolutely full of crap. And he thought that they were just out there to sleep with young girls. And I'm going to post them, but all the Grateful Dead photos that were taken here, this was the hub of it. And even R. Crumb said really what killed the whole movement was they popularized it so much that people from everywhere were coming out here, and it was just drugs were taking over, overpopulation, theft. It brought out all the worst. The more people that came here, and it just ended up pushing all the artists out of the colony. Now this purple address right here, 635 Ashbury, this was Janis Joplin's house when she was in Big Brother and Holding Company. And like I said, that movement, people started repainting the colors of the houses so they weren't gray, like the ones beside it. And this was her place. And I actually have a photo of her. I actually have a photo of her right at the corner of this street, and I'm gonna push it in right here. It's a pretty big building. There it is. Man, former address of Janis Joplin. Dude, I am here. The Grateful Dead house. If you ever wondered how this came to be, basically what happened was when the band was getting started and they were getting noticed in this area, their managers actually managed this building as well and ran the band's operations out of here. So what they decided to do was they started conveniently finding reasons to evict the tenants, and every time a tenant would be evicted, they would move in another member of the Dead. In this house, Jerry Garcia, Bob Weir and Neil Cassidy shared a room together. Pigpen, the whole band, all their hanger-ons, and they lived here for like 2 years until there was a like a sting drug bust in 1967. And when the feds decided to do it, they brought like the media and cameramen and made a huge ordeal out of it. They busted most of the guys for marijuana possession, of course, and the guys just felt like it was just becoming too much of a commercialized area, and so they decided to move out. But this is like holy grail to me. Like, I am such a Grateful Dead fan. There's so many bands that I love, and Grateful Dead is not my favorite band, but it's a band that you can put on any era, and you will magically just get whisked away into a world, however your imagination wants it to be fantasized. I personally love Blues for Allah. That's my favorite, but you really can't go wrong with any of it. I discovered them when I was in junior high. I was watching MTV and they played the Touch of Grey video, and I was hooked. Now I'm going to insert right here a myriad of photos of the band members in various forms and all their friends piling out onto this. The gate wasn't there, and the house was not this purplish color. But man, God, wouldn't I love to be in that house just once. So cool. And whoever wins the sunglasses, your sunglasses have been on the Grateful Dead house. Right across the street was the house that Alton Kelly and Stanley Mouse lived in, and they were actually the guys who made most of the psychedelic posters for the band in that day, all their venue posters, and they created the Skull and Roses Grateful Dead logo. Many of the album covers, and one of the legends to this house, and they credit it also to the house next door right here, is that while the Grateful Dead lived here, it was also the Hells Angels house. And there's a story about Ken Kesey, who was big in the acid scene, was cruising down this street one day and his brakes quit working. And I mean, this is just a legend. I'm sure it probably didn't happen, but cruising down this street and was losing control, and there was a car pulling out, and he either had to crash into the Grateful Dead house, which is right there, or the Hells Angels house, which is right here, one of these two. Some say 7:15, some say 7:19, but he said he picked the Hells Angels house because he thought that it would cause less damage as far as like the social scene. Probably a good decision for us Grateful Dead fans. Think of that. The Skull and Roses art was created in there. All those Live at the Fillmore, Winterland, Golden Gate Park, all those shows, all those show posters would have been created here, as well as the Hells Angels living here. As we head to our next stop and we leave the Grateful Dead house in that area, I forgot to tell you guys something that I wanted to mention while I was in Golden Gate Park, is that they actually were going to throw a 50th anniversary love-in, human being, at Golden Gate Park, and the city decided not to approve the permit. It was supposed to happen this coming June, and they found out February 10th that they were going to be denied. 2 doors down from the Grateful Dead house, this is in their window. I wonder if they would have bought the Grateful Dead house instead of this one had it been available. Pretty cool. Check out that original stained glass. That thing is old. I'm telling you, standing here in person, that's got to be early 1900s when this house was built. I love the houses in this area. And if you're wondering why they're all like so compacted together, it's once again because of the 1906 earthquake. So many places were damaged, they decided to start clumping them and grouping them together so that they wouldn't be able to fall, or theoretically. Now let's go to our next destination. Well, our next rock and roll house is not somebody from the Love-In era, the Summer of Love. This was the home of Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols. And he actually lived here right when the band concluded its last tour. He moved here, had an overdose here, didn't die, saved that for New York. But this was his house. Fighting the sun here, but it's kind of crazy how many people live within like, or lived within a block of each other. And there it is, 32 Delmar. That would have been his door right there in the upstairs. Cool. One of my goals for this trip was to do as much walking as possible. What I ended up doing was, as soon as I got off the bus, I hopped on the train about a mile to AT&T Park, because when you buy a fare there, you get a free transfer that lasts for like hours. And I knew that my very next stop from there was, by train, was 30 minutes, so I couldn't walk that. So the only thing that I'm not going to be walking was what we've already seen. My train ride to AT&T Park, then my train ride over to Haight-Ashbury. I got dropped off about a block away from the Jefferson Airplane House, and I've just been walking ever since. I decided to break this vlog up into like 2, like I told you, and I broke it into, like, since I'm doing 4 sections of things today, 2 and 2. So we only have a few more stops on this one, and then I'm going to give away these sunglasses. Check out this place. They have tripped it out. I think I'm gonna have to go in there. Even though I know how to make my own tie-dye. So, oh, see, here's kind of what I was telling you, the 50th anniversary. Love on Hate. Let's go in there. Wow, so cool. Look at that Jerry Garcia up there. You cannot find these anywhere else. That is so cool.
We have our fashion show mirror behind you.
Look at the Jerry stuff. That's so cool. And whoever wins the sunglasses, I just bought you a little something in this store that's going to go with the sunglasses. I did just buy myself a new belt, a Grateful Dead belt, because the selling point on it was, she said it comes with a 20-year warranty. You can just mail it back and they'll send you a new one. Presuming they're in business, that's a good deal for me, because I go through belts about every 6 months. Free giveaway. Wow. Check this place out. Jeez. That is really something. That is absolutely correct. And that's the way every single one of you should look at your life. If you wonder why I do these adventures and why I don't really care if I'm poor or I'm rich, it's because my dad died when he was 39. My stepdad had brain cancer before the age of like 33. I think he was 30. My grandmother died of leukemia. I mean, it's just one of those things that life is not guaranteed to last any amount of time, and you have to enjoy it when you can. And the hills in this town are no joke, but we're pretty close to our next rock and roll house. We are close. Look at these gates. Wow. And I'm pretty sure those gates belong to where we're looking for. Yep. Right there. 737. This, in the late 60s, was the home of Graham Nash from Crosby, Stills and Nash. And in this house, he put in a recording studio while he lived here. The band recorded here. They practiced here. And he also would take in some of the local bands and help them by recording their music as well. A couple of those were Steve Miller Band, Quicksilver Messenger Service, and of course, Crosby, Stills and Nash. There's a lot of cars in front of the house, so I'm trying to give you the best view possible, but that crazy Munsters looking gate was his gate. One thing I am very happy about is that when I bought these tickets, I had no idea what the weather would be like, and I checked the weather this week, and it said today was going to be a little chilly, 63, but tomorrow it was going to rain, so I lucked out on that one. And guys, I really hope you're enjoying what I'm doing with my time. This is what I would do on a day trip to San Francisco, and I'm just taking you along with me. There are parks everywhere in San Francisco. So every once in a while as I'm walking around, and I'm making really good time, I just stop off for a little hike and I roam around. For somebody who's squeezing in like 25 things in one day, I sure am doing a good job of it right now. Just stumbled upon this massive stump. That thing is huge. It's easily 4 foot long. I'm standing on the stump! This is kind of interesting. This is the William McKinley statue at the base of Panhandle Park. I'm all the way down that far south, and the only reason this is here, there's no significance to him in San Francisco. They said he only even came through San Francisco once on his campaign trail. It was just because San Francisco was having fun with this statue boom at one point, and McKinley had just been assassinated after only serving 6 months in office, and so they decided to erect a statue for him. And the sculptor decided not even to model it after McKinley. He was just going to model it after like the mental toughness and traits of the people of America. So it's kind of just a statue in name only. There's a little face of him up here, but yeah. Lion faces and Michael Jordan cardboard cutout with a Santa hat. Coolest neighbors in the world. Well, we made it to the last stop on today's vlog. Well, other than me probably getting something to eat, but we're at the Fillmore. This is the original Fillmore. A man named Charles Sullivan, a black business owner, owned it and used to throw some jazz shows and had a permit here. Bill Graham wanted to throw like a mime show and needed a permit, so he talked this guy into letting him rent it out. And that was basically the start of Bill Graham's productions. This Bill Graham Presents. And I mean, this place, the Grateful Dead played here 51 shows from 1965 to 1969. This was basically where Bill Graham spawned the entire counterculture psychedelic movement. The Allman Brothers played here, Creedence Clearwater played here, The Doors, Hendrix, Big Brother and Holding Company, The Grateful Dead, Frank Zappa, Quicksilver Messenger Service, Steve Miller Band, who am I forgetting? Pretty much anybody who came out of the 60s started here. And this was also where Velvet Underground and Nico debuted their crazy trippy slideshow with the acid wax and the crazy freak out dancers that Andy Warhol designed. That all was started here. Now they've moved the entrance over to this side over here, but this was the original start of it. And I know a lot of people think that the Allman Brothers cover Live at the Fillmore East and Live at the Fillmore, that was not even here. That cover actually wasn't even at a Fillmore location. But this was it. Most of the music that came out of the 60s that we all know and love started here, thanks to Bill Graham. He would go on eventually to open the Fillmore East, the Fillmore West, but this was always the classic location. This has been here since 1912. First it was called the Majestic Theater, and then it became called the Ambassador Skating Rink or Skating Club. And until Charles Sullivan opened up his kind of jazz club. But even when Bill Graham ran it, he also had Lenny Bruce perform here, Otis Redding, Aretha Franklin, and numerous poets. Wow, what an insane piece of history, huh, guys? Unbelievable. If you love counterculture, psychedelic music, like I do, this place was the place. I would have loved to have seen a show here. This spawned that whole 60s movement. The original ticket booth. And that original doorway. The original entryway. I'm sure it's changed since the original time. Wow. Alright, while we're at the Fillmore, the winner of my Vlog 200 sunglasses that I've worn for the last 100 days is April Eastman. Your idea was awesome. It's the MGM Lake in Culver City that's in the Raintree condominiums, and there's a big story there. I'm going to try and get it in and vlog that. Notable mention, Mark Potter had a great idea. Unfortunately, I can't do it because it's past 3 years. He wanted me to do the Phantom of the Opera set that was on one of the Universal sound stages for years and years and years, but they dismantled it 3 years ago. Otherwise, that probably would have won it. Alright guys, thanks for watching my 200th vlog. Come back tomorrow and see what I did with the rest of my day. And your sunglasses will have also been at the legendary Fillmore. Now the funny thing will be if you absolutely hate 60s music, but either way, I love it. So, there you go. Oh! From San Francisco, California, it's Jordan the Lion saying goodbye. These will be given away on number 300. I decided to go with a lighter shade this time. So April, these will be yours. These were the last ones. Here's the belt that I bought. Pretty slick. Well, we've made it to Alamo Square, and this is where we're going to start part 2 of my 200 and 201 vlogs. Part 2 with the new sunglasses. We have to climb another hill. Now they're doing some work on the park, unfortunately, so they've got fences around most of the park, but they know lots of people come here for this, so they at least left a portion of it open. And right here is the shot we would have from the opening of Full House of the Painted Ladies, also known as Postcard Row. We'll go down and take a closer look. Right here where I'm standing is where they would have been having their picnic. Uncle Jesse and Joey and Danny and DJ and Stephanie and Michelle, they would have all been right here. And you would have seen that shot in the opening of Full House. Now, here are the Painted Ladies. The Painted Ladies are just like a name given to any like row of houses that are different colors. And but this is the San Francisco Painted Ladies. And the one on the end, this fourth one, this yellow one, a man named Matthew Cavanaugh was the guy who designed and created these three houses, and he actually lived in the yellow house. And that was these are Victorian and Edwardian designed houses. And this is probably one of the most picturesque, popular landmarks. And even though everybody thinks that this is, because it's in the intro of Full House, this is where their house was, this wasn't. We are going to go to their house here very shortly. Now, the Painted Ladies were actually built in between 1892 and 1897, and they actually survived the 1906 disaster. Isn't that amazing? Let's do a walk by of them. I wonder who lives in them. And this is where the man who created them. Actually, wait, no, I was wrong. It's this house. This is the house that Matthew Cavanaugh lived in. 722, I'm sorry. This big one here on the corner. He was the architectural mastermind behind this whole thing. Wow, I was just walking by this, and this is the place you want to stay. It's called the Chateau Tivoli Bed and Breakfast. Wow. That thing is beautiful. Look at that. Look at that architecture. Like a castle. Look at that. It's even got gold trimming. Yeah, I'll say it's a mini park. So mini, there's nothing here. It did make me laugh though when I walked by. It said camping is prohibited. Alright, our next destination is the Full House house. Let's go. Look at all the cable car crossways. Wow. I wonder what that dome is. This looks awesome with all this Fillmore Jazz pictures and posters up. Check out this house along the way. I like this crazy staircase going up the side, or kind of like going up the middle, right into that gate. But then check this out. There's like exercise stairs up there. I bet that is a beast. Look at this bizarre Uber car. Looks like something out of Mad Max. I would have to guess this is like an old firehouse, wouldn't you? Kind of looks like it. We're getting so close. We're like 2 blocks away. I promise. Cool stained glass lion. That lion belongs to this place. Whoopsie. More lions. As promised, there it is. The Tanner residence. Uncle Jesse, Joey, Danny, Stephanie, Michelle, and DJ. And sometimes Kimmy Gibbler. Now the cool thing about this house is that it had been up for sale for a while, and that's always kind of a sad thing because you never know who will end up with it. But in this case it was pretty awesome because one of the producers of Full House bought it, and it kind of makes you think either he's gonna renovate it to be just like the show, maybe use it for the show, or more likely, or hopefully, they'll turn it into a museum to the show. Something. But this is in front now, so that's so awesome. How rude. Oh. I always watch this show. I think everybody in my generation did. Me and my sister both watched it. So cool. I love seeing movie houses. Even, oh, this one looks like it has some destruction to it. Part of the side's fallen off. You can see where they've had to put supports in. That's sad. Small driveway, small garage, everything. I mean, it's not quite as big as you would have expected. But I guess up there would have been DJ and Stephanie's room. Pretty cool. True classic. And I figured since I'm only like 20-minute walk away, I should also go to the Mrs. Doubtfire house because I heard there's something pretty interesting there that I should see as well, so let's go. Not a bad walk, honestly. It's a lot of uphill, but a lot of cool scenery to look at too. I don't really like their description of honey. Balloon animals? Okay. Okay. We're almost there, and that's not a bad view. Look at that. Well, once again, we have made it. Here it is. Here's the house that Sally Field lives in. Robin Williams pretends to be Mrs. Doubtfire to see his kids. Pierce Brosnan blows everything. As well as this nosy neighbor that lives next door. And actually, what I wanted to come here to see was that when Robin Williams died, I heard that people were leaving all kinds of stuff here on the porch and whatnot, and that they were actually carving things into this tree. And there they are. Basically, it's become a memorial to Robin Williams. And I did bring a Sharpie. Here's the house. It's a great movie. It's not one of my favorite movies. I do believe I saw it in the theater, and it was totally inventive because I always loved seeing Robin Williams play any kind of different character because he was always so good at it. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find, like, a bad performance. Maybe movies that weren't the best, but a bad performance, hardly ever. And this was almost like Robin doing Tootsie. Wow. I can't believe how much history I've seen in one day. Here's how big the Mrs. Doubtfire house is because it's on a corner. I'll show you what the corner lot looks like. I don't know what that little tower is, but it's not on my route, so I'm not going to find out today. Here we go downhill. Glad I'm going down and not up it. Jeez. (1915). I guess everybody was lucky enough to get these stairs in 1915. More stairs. Absolutely genius. You turn this into a table. So cool. We'll be going to his apartment later on today, where he wrote Howl. Too bad I already ate. It's quite a tall bragging right. We still have a ways to go, but we are much closer. In a weird way, all these safety service bars are kind of like artwork to me. I love this old school sign, this old like 60s sign, I don't know why. Look at that, look at the entrance to this place. Classic. You know who this reminds me of? The puppy paw steal your face. Just to give you a little bit of history, Lombard Street was actually named after Lombard Street in Pittsburgh. And we're going to be heading up to the 8 hairpin turn part of the street that is known as the most crooked street in the world. Not today. I don't need any more bad luck in my life than what already comes its way on its own. Not going to the Fisherman's Wharf this time, but next time, I swear. I really wanted to go, I just won't have time. God, my better judgment told me when I was going down that big hill earlier I'd have to go up it. And I am. 2 more blocks. Oh. All right, I'm close. I know I'm close. Now, the reason I'm coming here isn't because of this goofy street that everybody likes to see. I'm just coming here because it's a byproduct of some other goofy thing I want to see, which is the 3rd season of The Real World, San Francisco. I want to see their house, and I know it's over here. You want to take a train car today sometime? It is 8 hairpin turns. I knew I was close because whenever the episode of The Real World would start, they would always show Lombard and Hyde Street. And the address, I should recognize it as soon as I see it. It's 949 Lombard. What a wacky street, huh? They make it so you can cross it and everything, but definite tourist attraction. Just so you guys know, I really wanted to do some of the bullet locations from the car chase scene, but it's spread out over like 4 or 5 different sections of the city. It's not all in one place. Lies. Who's hanging out on the walls? Awesome view nonetheless. So I'm guessing the Real World folks were right at the end of this, on the very next block. Well, this place looks abandoned. Maybe they need me to move in. History of Lombard Street. What is this? Clown car? At least I'm back to walking all downhill again. At the very least, I get to do that. And there it is. The Real World house. Probably the most memorable and probably the most dramatic real worlds of them all, because this was the season that you had Pedro Zamora, who was living with AIDS, and he was living in the house. And shortly after the end of the season, he would end up dying of AIDS. This is the season where they had Puck, the psychotic bike messenger, who would blow snot rockets out of his nose and eat peanut butter with his fingers. And he eventually had to kick him out. This was the season of Rachel, Pam, Corey, Judd. This is it. And now I believe it's up for rent again. And that was always the frontal view that they would show of where they lived. But they actually lived up here in this back entrance, I believe. Even when I'm out of LA, I'm still dealing with this stuff. But there's the house. I don't think I ever missed an episode of this season. Good grief. I really want some coffee right now, but I'm gonna walk down this street because there's a really famous coffee place called Cafe Trieste I want to go to down here. Cafe Trieste is pretty famous for a lot of reasons, but one of them is it's where Francis Ford Coppola wrote the screenplay for The Godfather. Cafe Trieste is also the oldest espresso bar on the West Coast. Now I still have a handful of places that I want to hit on this trip, but I'm really hoping to get a ride a streetcar. I just don't want to take one if it's going to take me out of my way. The building way off in the distance is called the Coit Tower, and Coit Tower was donated by a rather wealthy lady who at one point during the 1906 earthquakes, when the fires broke out, a real young girl went out and started helping the fire department, and then started yelling at all the people in the neighborhood for not coming out and helping as well. And she saved, I forget how many people, they said she saved but she became the mascot of the fire department of San Francisco. I think I'm exaggerating, and I'm not. In the 2 blocks that I've been here in North Beach, I'd say easily half of every building I've walked past was a coffee house. And I'm not exaggerating. There's another one there. There's one right there. I just passed 3. There's 2 down there. They're everywhere. They should just name this Coffee House City. Another statue dedicated to the firemen of San Francisco. 1849 to 1866. I wonder if they went statue happy again and just had to put one up at Ben Franklin because they ran out of people to put one up of. Look at this church. I'm in another park. This church is right on the other side of it. So cool. I love architecture. Who doesn't? So cool. If you're not seeing as much cool stuff as I do in a new city when I go out, you're slipping. Look at that sign. That thing is ancient. And Carrie would kill me if I did not come to Buster's. It's her favorite cheesesteak place. And we came here last time I was here. It was amazing. Here's all of my notes for the trip of all the places I wanted to go to today. And here's my amazing Philly cheesesteak. Oh my god, that's hilarious. I'm in here eating my Philly cheesesteak and this guy just parked his car and it looks like the Mr. Bean car. Or like Rock Hudson's car from Send Me No Flowers. Yeah, I got the Philly with the cheese whiz. That is a lonely lipstick. Right around the corner is Cafe Trieste. Awesome. Pavarotti. W.C. Fields. This is a hot spot. Lawrence Ferlinghetti still comes here. All the Beats used to come here. Like I said, Francis Ford Coppola wrote most of The Godfather in here. Paul Cantor from Jefferson Airplane. Bill Cosby used to be one that they bragged about. Let's see. Coppola writing right over in this corner. So cool. We're gonna leave Cafe Trieste now. Wow, what a historic place. And a lot of those old beat poets that are still alive, they still come here, they said. Alright, we're coming up to the Condor Club, which is a strip club, but it was the very first topless strip club anywhere, starting in 1969. And right across the street, it's 2 of our destinations as well. City Lights Bookstore and Publishers, and the Cafe Vesuvio. All those books flying in the air. And you can probably see right there is the start of Chinatown, so we're going to hit some of the beat spots and then go to Chinatown. A couple of topless clubs over there, including the Beat Museum. I might go check out the Beat Museum. Now, City Lights is famous because this was one of the first, if not the very first, pocket bookstore specializing in paperbacks. And they had a magazine out in the early 60s, and they would publish independent writers. One day, Lawrence Ferlinghetti was walking by here, ran into the owner out front, and told him that he had been published in the magazine. They became friends. Lawrence Ferlinghetti got a job here. And that's, this is the place, these are the people. Lawrence Ferlinghetti was the man who discovered Allen Ginsberg, saw Allen Ginsberg perform some of the poetry from Howl, signed him the next day, released it in a little paper book, and then the store was actually busted, raided and arrested for selling pornographic writing. So it's always been a very activist kind of bookstore. And they also put out some of the records by Charles Bukowski reading his poetry, as well as Shel Silverstein. Wow. This is like the haven for free speech. There's Ginsberg. And I'm going to take us over to the apartment where Allen Ginsberg wrote Howl. Truly is pretty amazing the history that happened in this place. I mean, in 1956, to have the writing seized by U.S. Customs and the police department and have to go through a lengthy court case just to prove that your writing, your poetry, and your book is not obscene. It's amazing in some ways how far we've come, right? Now you guys have to see this. This is the Jack Kerouac Alley, and then this is the Cafe Vesuvio we're going to go into. This place is pretty amazing because this was the drinking bar of all the beat poets. Allen Ginsberg, Jack Kerouac, Lawrence Ferlinghetti, all those guys. But this is the Kerouac alleyway. And then this little corridor actually walks us right into Chinatown. But we're going to go there a little bit later. I'm actually thinking I'm going to go there at the end of the night. And I know it probably looks like I've eaten a ton, but I've had 2 meals on the vlog, and those are the only 2 meals I've had all day. I waited a long time before I had my first meal of the day. And they've got this quote by Jack Kerouac in the middle of the alley. It says, the air was soft, the stars so fine, the promise of every cobbled alley so great. And here's the Zodiac Wall. Well, they call it the first Zodiac Wall. See all the laundry hanging out of the window? We're definitely in Chinatown. Plus, the other reason I think I want to wait for to go to Chinatown is because I want to go to Vesuvio Cafe later. It's mainly a bar. It's like mainly a bar, and I don't really drink, but I kind of want to go in there. See that stained glass window on the other side? So, we'll come back. Woman's butt. Lots of strip clubs over here. Even the Garden of Eden. Hungry Club. There's the Beat Museum. I don't know what the deal is here. I don't know if it's like a bookstore or what. Oh, cool. Neil Cassidy's table. Wow. This is from Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg. Amazing. It's the car from On the Road. Wow. I'm gonna go in the Beat Museum next time I come here because there's some other stuff I want to do and I want to make sure it's still light out when I get there. I'm not sure what Fame on Broadway is. Next destination is right around the corner. And right here, if you can believe it, where this Head Start place is for kids, this is the apartment where Allen Ginsberg wrote Howl. That book of poetry that I was telling you about that had him up on obscenity trial. Wow. Can't believe it's not a museum or something. 1010 Montgomery. I don't know which apartment it was, but it was in this building. If you were a fan of the Beats, you're probably loving this tour, this part of the tour right now, aren't you? Alright, this is the Comstock Saloon. This is the second oldest bar in San Francisco. And the reason that my friend Carrie wanted me to go in there, and I'm not going to go because I just don't want to, I don't really drink. They still have piss troughs or pee troughs or urinals underneath the bar, so you don't even have to get up out of your stool. So there you go, for that drinker who can't be pulled away from the bar. Alright, so we do have to go into Chinatown for a little bit, because I forgot there was one thing on our tour that's down here. Something that most people wouldn't take you to see, but I am. We're here at the Chinese hospital in Chinatown, and I felt it was worth coming by because this is where Bruce Lee was born, the master of martial arts. And since I was going to be over somewhat in this neighborhood, I thought that'd be a very unique thing to put on here. Now, of course, I don't know what room he was born in, but this was it. Look at the view of the bridge from here. Wow! And I don't think I'm going to make it over to the San Francisco bridge because, I mean, I saw it off in the distance, but I didn't go anywhere near it today. Nope, you misread that. It's not exactly what you think. Sell out with beer? I'm no sellout. This Chinatown's no better than the one in LA. A couple of cooler building structures, but that's about it. Like this one across the street. Check this out. That's kind of cool. I think I may end up hitting everything on my list, like with 2 hours to spare. That would be cool. This seriously looks like the scene out of an action movie. A crotch rocket waiting for the escape in this dingy alley with all these Chinese storefronts. That should be me! That should be me! But I'm only going like a block further, so. Alright, I'm at my next stop. And it might be too late, I'm not exactly sure. It's 5:15 right now. It's the Cable Car Museum. I just figured I'd check it out if it's open. May not be. 10 to 5. Oh, it's closed. Okay, I guess we won't be going to that. Closed till... Wait, that's open, right? Oh, wait. No. That's tomorrow. Okay, before Valentino moved to Los Angeles, he actually was in a traveling play. And the play got canceled in Utah. And part of his severance for the play being canceled, was that he got his remaining bus ticket or train ticket to San Francisco, which is where the play was going to end. He was later honored, once he was a big star, by the mayor of San Francisco. He was given a dog. There's a famous picture of him taken right in front of the Fairmont Hotel. So I'm going to go and match up that shot at the Fairmont. I do realize in some cases I picked some pretty peculiar things to want to go see, but you know me. My silent movie fix. And the Fairmont was the one primarily that I wanted to get to while it was still light out, so I'm happy now. And right here is where the photo was taken. He would have been sitting right there with the dog that he was given by the mayor of San Francisco. Right here's where Valentino would have been sitting. So cool, the way history repeats itself sometimes. I mean, I'm not Valentino, but somebody who wants to just stand and sit where he sat. Pretty cool. And somehow I just about walked away without noticing and not reading anywhere before I got here that in the Fairmont Hotel's front yard is a statue to Tony Bennett. Do you know why? Let me show you why. It says, Tony Bennett, I left my heart in San Francisco. Debuted 1961 at the Fairmont Hotel. Lots of history here at the Fairmont. And the church bells are going off. Tony Bennett, the award-winning musician whose career spans over 6 decades, performed and introduced the song I Left My Heart in San Francisco in the famed Venetian room of the Fairmont Hotel in December of 1961. Well, that explains it. Mr. Bennett has been one of the city's greatest and most celebrated ambassadors, endearing him to generations of San Franciscans and fans around the world. Hell yeah. The Grace Cathedral Church. And this was founded in 1842 during the Gold Rush. And it's supposedly known for its intricate mosaics. So let's take a walk up there and check it out. Oh yeah, I see what they mean. Wow. I think it's all scenes from the Gold Rush. Oh no, it's all biblical. All biblical scenes, of course. Is that a castle in front of us? Sweet. Alright, I'm not gonna lie. Our next stop might be my most anticipated place on the whole trip. Because I know the stories about this place, and there are many. But I've never been here. I didn't take this on the last trip I was at. And I'm just really fascinated to see it in person. I almost kind of feel like this place that we're going is haunted or cursed. Just from all the stories that I've found out about it. I was walking by this square and I just felt like I should walk through it. And I'm right across the street from where I was looking for anyway, so. That looks like Athena up there. Well, here it is. This is actually the most anticipated place on my trip, for me anyway. The place I wanted to see the most. The Westin St. Francis. Now this place has tons of history. As far back as 1906 is the funniest story that I remember. And that story was that actor John Barrymore was here entertaining someone else's fiance in his room, the legend has it. And the 1906 earthquake hit. He was in town doing a production and was entertaining her in his room, and when the rumbling started happening, the rumor was that he thought it was his magnificent sexual prowess. And then when people from the hotel came up and let them know that it was martial law, they put him to work and made him help stack bricks. And it was pretty funny, his uncle Drew made a comment in a newspaper and said, well, it took an act of God to get him out of bed, and it took the US government to put him to work. That was in 1906. And then it's probably most famous, most well-known, for 1921, this is the hotel where Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle was accused of raping and killing a woman in rooms 1219, 1220, and 1221. And as much reading as I can do, the real story is that he decided to throw a Labor Day party up here. Took 3 of his cars, drove a few friends, and invited some actresses and actors, and they all came up here, and Virginia Rapay, the woman who ended up dying, apparently had had up to 5 abortions in her life and had had one the day before this party. She was feeling sick from the alcohol and from the abortion, she tried to extort money from Fatty when he came in to find out what was wrong, and she yelled at him, "This is your fault." And one of her friends was in the room, and her friend took that to mean that he raped her. So a national trial went on, ruined Fatty's reputation, and I'm actually going to do a vlog about that when I go to his house. But in the end, the truth was that Fatty never touched her, and that William Randolph Hearst owned the newspapers, and it was just a salacious story because Fatty was so well loved that it was easy to capture people's imagination, and his entire career was ruined. And in the end, William Randolph Hearst actually ended up giving Fatty Arbuckle a directing job right at the end of his life, and said, Fatty said, "I can't believe you hired me," and William Randolph Hearst said, "Well, don't take it personal. It was nothing personal, it was just business," referring to ruining his career. But the reports were that Fatty had raped her or had shoved champagne bottles in her, and this all came out to not be true. He was actually tried 2 times. The public defender was trying to build a case so that he could run for governor, and so every time it was landed a hung jury, 10 in favor of Fatty and 2 against. The first time, this prosecutor just kept bringing it to trial until the 3rd time when when it went to the jury actually wrote him an apology, and Fatty was so humiliated he was blacklisted from pretty much movies, ended up changing his name to his father's name and working as a crew member on movies pretty much till he died. But the other story about the St. Francis is that it was here that a woman tried to assassinate Gerald Ford in 1975 as he was walking through the doorway. So this place is just chock full of history. And I really don't know if there's any reason to go too far in, but mainly this was the Fatty Arbuckle scandal, and that's really what I wanted to see. Like I said, I think his rooms actually would have been on the other side of here, because they said that his rooms overlooked Powell and Geary, and this is the corner of Powell and Geary, so probably those very top rooms would have 3 rooms, 1219, 1220, and 1221. I decided to come in and at least see what it looked like, being how historical it was. Let's go take a look around until they throw me out. This picture in the top is the aftermath after the 1906 earthquake, the way it destroyed the inside of here. And that would have been this room. They had to refinish. That's where John Barrymore would have been forced to stack those bricks. Wow. And then there's a public meal for the people that helped with the San Francisco earthquake, 1906. Here's some of the silverware they pulled out of the rubble. Not a terrible surprise, but they have no memorabilia, no nothing of Fatty Arbuckle here. I'm sure that they are trying to forget that ever happened. Actually, it was probably like really good for their hotel. Probably good publicity. You know, the sad thing about Fatty Arbuckle is that when he left, he thought that she was okay. He didn't know that she had died. So he went back to Los Angeles and was none the wiser until they showed up and surprised him at his home. Alright guys, if you can believe it, on my list of things to do on my tour, I only have 1 more stop. And then I'm going to have about 3 hours to kill and go do whatever I want. Yes! Wow, look at this art store. Those are all metal sculptures. Wow. Well, I'm about to get on my train car today, finally. And there would have been Fatty Arbuckle's rooms right up there, the 12th floor, the very top. Well, I've been passed up by 3 train cars, so I'm just going to walk to my last location, go have fun, and then ride the train car back at the end of the night. Plus, the train cars are $7 each way, and I'm only going 3 blocks. I didn't know that. I thought it was just the same as a transfer pass. So that's why I'm going to ride it later at the end of the night when I'm coming back. And there in front of us, that gigantic building, that's our last stop. That's the Bank of America building. And the reason I want to go there is because That's where Scorpio shoots the woman in the pool at the very beginning of Dirty Harry. And that's where Dirty Harry goes up and finds that shell. And that building right here, that's where she was swimming in the pool. And Scorpio would have been right up here and shot her dead. Boom. Now I am a huge Dirty Harry fan, huge. And this is the same exact route that he walks after he's found the dead woman and he's investigating it. And he realizes it's coming from this building. Comes over here, crosses the street, and walks right in those front doors right there. What's not to like about a detective that hates everyone, doesn't want a partner, and lives off of hot dogs? There it is. Filming location from Dirty Harry. Well, let's go in Chinatown. So there's nobody driving down this street, so I'm just going to walk down it because this is the most festive street in all of Chinatown. All the way down to that guy. I think he's playing Auld Lang Syne. He is. Well, Happy New Year to you too, buddy. What a great trip. Only wish Jock could have been here. I've always been mesmerized by the legend of Confucius, and this is like the Zoltar machine of it.
It's about as lightly oxidized as possible. So if you want to just flavor, just adding the fresh.
This is the black tea.
And so, like with ginger, we do have a ginger.
Gold Rush. Look how they have the bridge lit up at night. Well, I'm going to finish the vlog here in Cafe Trieste before I hop on my bus. Sitting in the same spot that Francis Ford Coppola sat in while he wrote the Godfather screenplay. Good night.